The future of learning, a question that everybody keeps asking themselves. Parents, principals, individuals, young children, they're all asking about how learning is going to affect our future. I saw a recent article which said that 70% of the jobs of the future are jobs that haven't been created yet. So our children are in school learning about things and jobs that don't yet exist. So how do we cope with this kind of shift and change? Beyond that, we have this barrage of technology that is completely permeating every aspect of our life. And we'd like to find ways to address that. And also to find a way to combine the traditional environment of high quality education and learning with the rapid transformation that is taking place in technology and the future. So we are here today talking about the Future of Learning channel, and we're delighted to be at North London Collegiate School, and we are happy to have our principal, Daniel Lewis. Dan, would you like to say a few words about who you are and about the school?
So I've been principal of this school for a term and a bit. We are in our second term of operation, so we're a very new school here in Dubai. And I've worked for North London Collegiate School in the UK for 14 years. And in between, I did a year on my own as the startup year for this school. So this is a project I've been committed to for a very long time. I think I first came and met our partners Houda here in Dubai back in 2014, 2013. And so it's been a long journey for me, but very excited to be here in Dubai and to have opened what I hope will grow to be the most successful school in the country.
So what's the secret sauce? What's that special thing that you bring to this environment? Because there are so many schools, and just like lots and lots of hotels, and how do you differentiate between one 5-star hotel and another 5-star hotel? What do you bring in that's entirely unique?
Yes, it's funny that you should compare schools to hotels in Dubai, because
they are indeed.
One might be forgiven for thinking there was a lot of similarity between them here. I mean, my understanding of education has moulded over many years. I began teaching my teaching career in Australia, and I taught at one of the first IB schools in Australia. It was one of the first schools to adopt the IB diploma. So an element of internationalism has really sort of affected my approach to education for a long time, especially given that I changed countries at the age of 16 from the UK to Australia and had to go through that kind of cultural transition. For me, what a North London Collegiate School education is about is very simple, really. It's two things. One of them is aspiration, really aiming high for children, always, never limiting them, never putting a limit on what a child can do, never labeling them. And also about love of subject, love of learning. Teachers who can really inspire their students, light that flame of enthusiasm in them, and then see them take that and grow with it and do their own thing, become in charge of their learning, I suppose, and something that will last with them for the rest of their lives.
Thank you for that. Let me get on to our parents. Here we have Houda and Mateen, who have both kindly joined us. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 children,
yeah.
1 in secondary and 2 in primary.
And you chose this school. There are hundreds of schools here. What inspired you to do that?
To be very honest, we didn't plan to change them initially, and we went to this conference that was given by Mr. Lewis at the Ittihad Museum, and we were really, really impressed by the content of the presentation. I must say that we went to see him many times to just really gauge of the commitment. Again, we are in Dubai, things look glamorous, but what is inside? And after I went alone, I went with my husband went alone, and then we decided that was the place to be. And coming to the way you introduced the subject is coming to the future of learning is, for me, it's teaching the children how to think, and I think this is the place where they're doing it. They're not processing information, they are thinking about it, and that is the key difference. That's why we are here.
What about you, Mateen? How old is your child?
So I have two children in the school. One's in grade 7, the other's in grade 2. My eldest is in grade 7. And I've been in Dubai for 12 years. So I've seen schools come, some schools go, most of them are still here, and you know, my children have been to some of the bigger branded schools here previously. So when NLCS established, you know, last year, and I'm from North London, so I knew of the brand already coming from London, and I also had the privilege of meeting Mr. Lewis, not in the forum that Houda met them, but in a more of a private forum, and I quite liked the whole ethos of the school. And a lot of people said to me at the time, it's a bit of a brave decision, you sending your children to a brand new school. But given what I knew about NLCS, given what I knew about how Mr. Lewis's vision was in terms of the teachers, we all know Dubai has a very transient population, and it was you know, it was a decision that we thought would be good for the children.
What I'd like to do is to really get deep into the future of learning. Amongst the phrases that I use is about education versus learning, and one of the things I say, education is dead, long live learning. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Education versus learning. So, I mean, for me, learning is something that takes place anywhere, in a classroom, out and about, wherever it may be in the world. It's something that you often experience by doing. An education is something broader than that. Learning is part of an education. An education takes into account all kinds of experiences, and it must be broad and balanced. It must allow you to explore who you are, find out what you're interested in. One of our school aims is that you know, students try themselves out in a number of ways, and I think that's really what an education is about. It's trying yourself out, finding out what you can do.
And for you, your 7th grader, for example, have you ever asked him the question of what are your dreams when he came to this school versus somewhere else, or was he just happy that the place is nice and the teachers are sweet and friendly?
It's funny you should say that, because the decision was driven by my 7th grader to move both of them. Logistically, it made sense as well. But your question about, I think learning ends up becoming a way of life. If you have that passion for learning, it's not a process. It becomes ingrained in how you are as an individual. And you talk about my son, and I often think, you know, he's if there was anything it'd be a philosopher, because the way he is, he's so deep in his.
And my question to you is,
Sure.
why not? And philosophers are and probably he'll go through you know, the schooling here, and he's probably, you know, he'll be focused on getting his A grades and this, that, and the other, and getting into Oxford or Cambridge, because that's really the game. But why not philosophy, and why not support him?
You know, I'm a traditionalist, so for him to be the way he is has sort of opened my eyes and my thought process as well, and you know, there have been times when he's said to me, what use is the periodic table to me in life? And I've just you're right. It could be, if you don't become a chemist, and you don't, I mean, everything is quite deep in terms of how he analyzes things and thinks things through, and you're right, you should, you know, that's not something you should stifle.
But how do you ignite passion in your children, in terms of the passion to learn and the passion to achieve certain things? I mean, what's that ignition point?
I don't know if I'm successful at doing that to start with, but however, we share. I think, well, one thing that I think we did well is the love for books. And it has been this, in my household, basically the two of them swallow books. And it just, they see us read, we talk about it all the time. I do read books that Sami, my 7th grader, reads. I give him books that I read when he can read them. I think it's a lot of exchange.
So books is one thing, and I think it's brilliant that they are reading, and I think that art of reading is diminishing in many, many ways. But I want to go deeper than that. In terms of the ignition of that passion in a child, of whether they want to be a philosopher, whether they want to be an artist or whatever, what sparks that for you as a mother? What do you see, and how do you support that? It's a deep question, but it's an important question because it's really critical for other mothers who will be watching you. Is that, how do you start this process with your child?
I think questioning the discovery. I mean, Sami, for instance, my oldest kid is very interested in architecture, because it brings up in him. He's quite logical and scientific, but he also has a lot of creative side on him. So when we walk around, we do stop and we discuss the building and this kind of stuff. Art, our involvement in art. Yes, not all the children appreciate to go to art galleries, but it's still something we do. And slowly they get there. It gets ingrained in them.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.